what are the materials that are super simple and that can be used over and over again for lots of different learning? Let's dive in. When I started teaching, and especially when I first was doing homeschool activities with my boys when they were little, I wanted to pull out all the stops. And there is definitely a time and a place for that. I am not saying to not do all the fun, cute little things. You can do that too. But sometimes I think we overwhelm ourselves. And if that message sounds like something that hits home with you, I encourage you to subscribe, because that's what this channel is all about. You can teach your child to read, and I would love to be a part of that journey. So hit subscribe and don't miss a learning moment. Also, check out my sister channel, Dr. Deanna's Learning for Littles, where I do episodes that are play-based for littles. Those are just a separate channel that I offer, and would love to have you a part of that learning community as well. So the first thing that I recommend having is a whiteboard, and you can just get this at the dollar store. You can use this for so many things. You can use this for so many subjects, right? You can use this for learning how to spell and blend CVC words. You can use this to write for sentences. And what's really great about that is whiteboards are less intimidating because they're easy to erase, and that way we don't need to burn a hole in the paper. If we make a mistake, it's so simple, which brings me to my next item, is to get a good set of whiteboard markers. Do be aware that whiteboard marker ink can stain, and if it gets on little hands, you will have it on little hands maybe for a couple of days. As a teacher, I used to get it on my hands, and I'd be like, I have colorful hands because, I've been teaching littles, and for some reason, I was no better than my kindergartners. But in any case, you also can get the ink out of clothing using something like hairnet hairspray. That is my go-to for getting ballpoint ink out, and also whiteboard marker ink. That helps a lot. All right, so we said whiteboard marker. If you want to get super fancy, you can get a set like this. This is from Hand to Mind, and it comes with a different boards with different numbers of what we call Elkonin boxes. There's sound boxes that help littles see how the phonemes work together, especially when we get into, we have 26 letters, but we have 44 phonemes in the English language. So that means that we have an S and an H. Those are two separate letters, but the S and the H also work together to say sh, and sh is its own phoneme. So that helps children see how those letters work together to make the sounds. If you want to, you can always use your whiteboard marker, and I used to have my kindergartners do this, and draw the boxes yourself, just like that. All right, so those are a couple of options. I love to give you options. My next item is just some magnetic letters. They don't have to be from an educational company even. You can just buy a simple set of magnetic letters. And I really, really love this, especially for children if they're having trouble with letter formation, dysgraphia, anything of that nature. It really takes away that overwhelm of forming the letter and that pencil and paper task. It's not that you don't want to work on that, but it separates that from the skill of actually learning how to spell and read words. And we definitely want to keep that in mind, because we don't want children to not do what they're able to do because of the things that are challenges for them. So just because a child is having trouble writing the letters or forming the letters doesn't mean they're not ready to spell a word and hear the sounds and put those letters in order. So this makes that task super accessible, but it also is super hands-on for little learners. And you can watch my videos. I have lots of engaging ways of using these letters and these magnetic letters. So I suggest getting a set like this. And then here I have just dollar store buckets. I use these for sorting. Sorting is an activity, I've talked about it in other videos, but you can do this with pretty much any phonics skill. It's a really, really great strategy. Again, engaging, hands-on, and simple, which is what we really, really want, because we don't want to be suffering from overwhelm too, because that's going to affect, our environment. And one interesting side note, when I did my doctoral research, one of the things that I learned, it actually became the star of my research, was that the environment and the affect of the child and the environment they're in is really one of the most impactful things. And so if the environment is very stressful, or they're not feeling comfortable, or you're feeling overwhelmed, that's going to have an impact on their learning. And if you're having those struggles, everyone has those struggles from time to time. Nobody's immune to that. But if it's a constant struggle, you can take a step back. Don't be afraid to do that. Do simple activities like this and take a little bit of the burden off of yourself and just enjoy that time with your child. All right, so that's my next item that I recommend. And my last one is some simple blocks. And I share this in many episodes. You see, even on these, I've actually written in Sharpie, which is actually very hard to get off, I discovered. But in any case, I have a whole bag of them like this. And some of them don't have letters on them. But these cubes are great for helping children hear sounds in words. And, if you're like me, you can write the letters on the blocks. And with that, I'll teach to your little learners learning strengths, one child and family at a time.